Blood still stained the sands of Troy. When a thunder of hooves shattered the morning mist, Penthesilea had arrived, and the earth itself seemed to recoil. Queen of the Amazons, daughter of Ares, she was no mere warrior. She was vengeance incarnate, towering atop her war horse, eyes like burning coals. She rode not just for battle, but for redemption. Her sister, Hippolyta, had fallen by her own hand in a tragic accident during a hunting expedition, and guilt had hollowed her soul. No feast or festival could wash away the blood on her conscience. No shrine could silence the cries in her dreams. War was the only answer. She craved a glorious death, one worthy of a daughter of war. And what battlefield offered more promise than Troy, where the world's greatest warriors clashed in a maelstrom of steel, pride, and prophecy? As she galloped through the Trojan gates with her elite guard of Amazonian warriors, their armor shimmering with gold, even King Priam felt a flicker of hope. Troy had suffered. Their greatest hero, Hector, had fallen by the hand of Achilles, their defenses strained, morale withering. But now, like a storm summoned from the heavens, Penthesilea came to turn the tide. Her arrival was no mere alliance. It was a declaration that women too could wield fate like a blade, that the gods had not yet chosen the victors. She rode with purpose, flanked by warriors who had been raised in the shadows of mountains, trained not in luxury, but in pain, in fire, in blood. These were not courtiers. These were legends with pulse and fury. With her crescent-shaped axe slung across her back and a glare that could silence storms, Penthesilea stood before the Trojan court, and even the war-weary elders saw something in her, a tempest wrapped in flesh. As dawn broke, she led her Amazons into the fray. Like arrows loosed from Apollo's bow, they descended upon the Greeks. Chaos erupted. The ground shook as bronze clashed with bronze, as Amazonian war cries echoed like thunder across the plains. Penthesilea moved like a specter, slicing down warrior after warrior. Her blood-soaked blade, an extension of her fury. Men who had once stared down centaurs and giants now faltered before her. She was not mortal. She was wrath made visible. She was everywhere at once, hurling javelins with terrifying precision, dragging enemies from their horses, and locking eyes with those who dared challenge her, just long enough for fear to take root. Her presence shattered morale, like a lioness unleashed into a pen of sheep. No strategy could contain her fury. The Greeks had never seen war like this, not from a woman, not from anyone. News of her carnage reached Achilles, who stood at the edge of the battlefield, like a lion sensing a new rival. He had crushed Hector, scorned Agamemnon, defied gods, and now heard of a woman who danced through Greek ranks like death itself. Intrigued, he donned his immortal armor, forged by Hephaestus himself, and prepared to meet this queen of the East. What happened next would echo through eternity. Their eyes met across the battlefield, and time seemed to shiver. Achilles, half god, breaker of men, faced Penthesilea, who had already drowned her guilt in rivers of Greek blood. Neither spoke. Words had no place here. The two charged. The clash was seismic, shield against axe, spear against blade. Around them, the world faded. This was not a duel. It was a storm, colliding with another storm. Achilles struck with the rage of Olympus, but Penthesilea parried with the elegance of Athena and the ferocity of her father, Ares. They were equals, each driven by ghosts, each consumed by purpose. Her strikes were fast, her footwork like poetry, her rage blinding. But Achilles was destiny's favorite. In a moment of blinding speed, he plunged his spear into her chest. Time froze. Her eyes widened, not in fear, but in relief. She had found her death, the glorious blazing finale she had sought. She collapsed into his arms, and Achilles, the destroyer of worlds, looked down and faltered. He had killed countless warriors, but this was different. She was beautiful, proud, fearless. In her final breath, she showed no hatred, only peace, and it pierced him deeper than any blade. A hush fell over the battlefield. Even the Greek soldiers, drunk on blood and arrogance, watched in silence. Then came Thersites, a foul-mouthed, hunched Greek soldier known more for his insults than his bravery. Seeing Achilles gaze at the fallen Amazon queen with something resembling love, or perhaps remorse, he mocked him, called him weak, jeered at Penthesilea's corpse, said she was just a woman, not worth a warrior's tears. In a heartbeat, Achilles drew his sword and struck him down, silencing the worm forever. Even his own comrades recoiled. This was new. Achilles had shown emotion, compassion, perhaps even guilt. He ordered Penthesilea's body be treated with honor, wrapped in the finest linen, and returned to the Trojans for a proper burial. This act of unexpected grace sent ripples through both camps. Some whispered that Achilles had fallen in love in the moment he killed her, that he saw in her a mirror of himself, a kindred soul consumed by battle. The Trojans mourned her as one of their own. Priam wept. Helen, who rarely showed emotion, stood in silence as the funeral pyres rose. The Amazons, their queen gone, vanished into the hills, leaving only blood-streaked memories behind. But the tale of Penthesilea did not fade. It grew. Her name became legend. A warrior queen who defied men, fate, and even gods, who came not for victory, but for release. Her life, though brief, burned like a comet through the pages of myth, reminding all that courage knows no gender, and that some warriors fight not for glory, but for redemption. Yet some say the story didn't end there, that the gods themselves quarreled over her fate, that Ares, her father, howled in rage upon Olympus, demanding vengeance for his daughter's fall, that Aphrodite wept, for she saw love bloom in the moment of death, that Zeus watched in silence, knowing that such is the price of mortal passion and divine blood. In secret corners of ancient scrolls, there are whispers that Penthesilea was not truly mortal, that the Amazons descended from the war spirits of the East, born not of women, but of earth and storm, that when she fell, the land itself cried out, and strange flowers bloomed where her blood had spilled, flowers that never died, that in the centuries after, warrior women across the world claimed descent from her, carrying her legacy like a sacred flame. In Scythia, in Thrace, in Africa, they spoke of the queen who took on Achilles and died with a smile. They carved her image into shields, painted her tales on pottery, named daughters after her. She became myth, immortal not through divine birth, but through memory. In some forgotten tombs, archaeologists have found weapons buried beside women, taller than average, stronger than expected, with inscriptions dedicating the blade to the queen who met death like a lover. Others say her spirit still rides with the wind, galloping through the smoke of every battlefield where the hopeless rise to defy the impossible. And Achilles, he was never the same, though he went on to kill and conquer. Though he dragged Hector's body and defied the gods, something in him had shifted. Some say he dreamed of her, Penthesilea, standing in moonlight, laughing, that in his final moments, pierced by Paris's arrow, it was not his mother Thetis or Briseis he called for, but her, the queen he killed, and perhaps the queen he loved. Her story was retold for generations, not as a footnote in the saga of Troy, but as a blaze of defiance that scorched the scrolls of history. A woman who rode into the greatest war ever known, not for empire, not for conquest, but to meet her end on her own terms. And in doing so, she became something greater than queen, greater than legend. She became eternal.